I know what you're saying. James, didn't you just tell us you weren't going to buy the Pentax K3 Mark III just yet? Yes, I did say that. I said yet. That was then. This is now. James, didn't you also say that it was too expensive? Yes, I did. I thought $2,000 was an awful lot of money to spend, but I found one for a really good deal. Okay, but wait, didn't you also say that you did not need a new camera because what would the point be? Your photography wasn't going to get any better anyway? Yes, I did say that. So you got me there. Welcome back to the Snappiness YouTube channel. I like to shoot old digital cameras and occasionally make emotional purchases for way too much money on cameras that will not make me a better photographer, but are pretty cool. This is the Pentax K3 Mark III. Ladies and gentlemen, I finally have it. As I said, I made a video a couple of months back saying why I wasn't going to buy it yet. And in that video, basically I said I'm a cheapskate and I never buy anything new anyway. That's really what it came down to. I had a couple other complaints about the camera, but that's what it came down to. But to make a long story short, the camera came up for a really competitive price. I sold my KP, my video camera, so now I'm back to the K1 shooting video, and a lens, and I was able to buy this camera used. I've owned the Pentax K3 Mark III for over a month now. I've shot some great pictures with it, and I do have some thoughts about it, but not enough time with it to make a formal video talking about it. So that's not what this video is. This video is just my first impressions, letting you know I have the camera so that you can ask me questions about it. I get questions almost every day still about the Pentax K3 Mark III and if it's something people should invest in over their K3 or KP. People don't ask me that because I'm a professional photographer or even really know that much of what I'm talking about. They ask me that because there's not many people making videos about Pentax on YouTube. So I guess that's why. But I do want to be helpful and help you make wise purchases. And I err on the side of saving money. So hopefully by me picking this up, I can help you decide whether it's worth to invest or you should just save your money and stick with an older camera. So while this is not a formal review, I do have some thoughts about the camera. You're probably curious what I think. So here's a rapid fire initial impressions about the Pentax K3 Mark III. The handling. I love the handling. It's back to my Pentax K3, my favorite handling camera. The controls, they're awesome. There's a new touchscreen. It's very high quality and works very well. It doesn't miss swipe or miss click. It's very responsive in all the right ways. And there's a joystick on the back too. I don't use that very much, but it's cool when you do want to use it. It even has these 5 user modes, which are awesome because you can set up all your settings to how it's shooting wildlife and then switch back to shooting to something totally different without having to manually change all the settings. So that's super cool. The OVF. When Pentax released this camera, almost all of their marketing budget, which is like $500, went to advertising the OVF. I think they did this because they're the last people making DSLRs now, and so they're trying to differentiate themselves, and they made the best dang OVF ever in an APS-C camera, which is cool. So I'll probably talk more about it later, but the main gist of it is, yes, here I have a KP right next to me. I look through it. That looks pretty good. No complaints. Oh, I can't see anything. I got the lens cap on. And wow, it's a lot bigger when I do that side-by-side comparison. So it's true. It's bigger and it's brighter. Does that give you really any advantage over an older camera? In my personal short experience with the camera, not really, but it is nice to have. Video. The camera now shoots 4K. It's terrible 4K. Older, cheaper cameras have better 4K than this new expensive camera, but it does look better than the 1080 on previous Pentax models. And I think if you down sample to 1080, it actually looks pretty good. So that's cool. I have some examples of that I can share with you guys. Autofocus. People want to know about autofocus. That's the reason I bought this camera. I think the image quality, the high ISO performance, all of that you can get in older Pentax bodies. But the autofocus is what I wanted for wildlife photography. Short answer, yes, it is quite a bit better than older Pentax cameras. Pentax recently announced a new image profile called Satobi. It's a JPEG image profile for the camera. That in and of itself isn't terribly exciting, though it is fun. I do like to play with image profiles, and I think it's cool they released it. But they also announced another firmware update. It's kind of in a beta stage right now and hard to get, but that will allow it to shoot GPS-less astro tracing, which basically works by taking a sequence of images and then detecting how the stars moved and then using that to move the sensor so you can track stars. That's cool, and I want to test that out in the future, and I will test that out if it ever releases while I still have this camera. So those are my initial impressions. More to come later. I don't really want to give any sort of like final thoughts on the camera since I'm still in the get to know you phase. But will I keep the K3 Mark III? Well, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I was really excited about purchasing it. I purchased it, and then came buyer's remorse. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where you buy a new piece of camera gear and then all of a sudden you realize you're still a bad photographer. It doesn't make you a better photographer, and it doesn't give you any more experiences to photograph. I'd rather invest in being able to go out and take photography trips than buy a new piece of camera. But for some reason I always forget that and I just buy more cameras. But in all seriousness, it's an awesome camera, and I think it's fulfilling something I need with the better autofocus for wildlife, but I'm still not really sure. And honestly, I'm getting such good image quality out of these older Pentax cameras and older cameras in general. I don't know if it's worth sticking around with it for now. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. As I'm making this video, as I'm recording this right now, I'm still not sure. I keep going back and forth. Let me know what you think, if you'd like me to keep it. I certainly want to keep it long enough to put out some content and answer some questions. I love Pentax. I want to keep supporting what they're doing and support their latest releases, even if I am a cheapskate. Maybe I'll buy a t-shirt off their website or something to support them. Thanks for stopping by once again. I appreciate all the support. Let me know if there's something I can do for you, or stop by the forums or message me on Instagram, or if you are a hacker and look up my information online somehow, send me a letter. That'd be kind of weird. Don't do that. But really, I do hope you're doing well. Remember to go out there and shoot with whatever camera you have. Don't necessarily go out and buy this camera just because. And until next time, happy snapping.